And welcome back to I Bought Toys Today, the show where two old friends celebrate the best part of the toy collecting hobby, telling each other about the toys we got. As always, I'm John,
I'm Cohan.
and this week we bring you big piles of toys and big sweaters.
Oh, just a small T-shirt on this side. Sorry.
Cohan, it's been a minute since we've
Mhm.
recorded an episode, um, and we've had a lot of uh, toy garnering events. Um, in that it's springtime now. And I don't know about you, but pre-orders are hitting, toy shows are happening, and it's been a long time, and we need to get this show underway because my pile of toys is getting too big, and we need to get this out. Um, so I've got plenty. You've got plenty.
hmm
Do we want to rock, scissors, paper to see who goes first, or what do you want to do?
No, I think you should go first because we'll probably start with you and end on you. Mine will just kind of bookend and be the buffers in between because you
Okay.
have more than I do, and I think the way we break them down will be it'll probably go easier that way. I think.
I wasn't planning on having so much to talk about this episode, but it just so happened that pre-orders were hitting, and we kept having to push this back, so more stuff just happened to keep coming in. So I'll start us off with some of the hottest toys of the season. Last episode, I talked about my first couple of Marvel Legends came in, and since then, the rest have arrived. So I've
Excellent.
got more X-Men 97s with both the Jean Greys and the Madeline Pryors. Ironically, the almost, I was going to say this is the first time I've ever owned figures for either of these characters, but that's technically not true because I do technically have a Goblin Queen figure from the Mutant X line, um, but never like the real deal.
hmm
And I've never had a Jean Grey figure because, weirdly enough, as big of a Cyclops fan as I am, Jean Grey, take her or leave her.
Yeah, I
I,
agree. Not a
I
very strong
think
character.
I think her clone is more interesting than she is.
Yeah.
But um, I'm happy to have both of these in the collection because it's a very cool line. The show is off to just a raving start. The first episodes have been fantastic. And
Yeah,
of course, I
I was gonna
did get that Cyclops.
I was gonna say because of the show, man, I'm this close to scooping these figures up. Sorry, I'm really enjoying the show, and it's really making me want those figures.
The Cyclops is pretty solid.
hmm
There was a time not too long ago where I didn't have, I don't think I had any action figures of Cyclops in this costume. Um, Boy, that time has changed. I'm fairly certain this is like 75 to 90% the same figure as the last one of these I bought when they had um, the previous animated series ones, the one that came in the box that made it look like a VHS tape. I'm pretty sure the body is almost the same. It doesn't have the same like shading on it, but the head is different. Um, and he does come with angry blasting face that you can
Yeah,
kind of see is in level focus. But I also like that it comes with that just that sly smirk, um, because we usually don't get that sort of whimsical expression on a Cyclops figure, and these heads are more cartoony than other
yeah.
ones, naturally. Um,
That
but
reminds me of, I'm
I
sorry
just
to
like,
interrupt you.
yeah, go ahead.
That reminds me of, like I spoke on last episode, last two episodes, of those Super Sevens of the GI Joes.
Hmm.
The heads with just that little bit of a smirk. It's just that little bit, and it gives them you're like, I like this head so much more.
And I was gonna say the same thing. I kind of do. Just I like the sly confidence that it exudes,
Yeah.
because it's Cyclops. You don't get a lot of like eye expression
No.
with him. Um, he's got one look when it comes to the eyes. But putting that in, just the like, I'm a big fan of that. So I'm really looking forward to busting them out and putting them up there with the other ones, because they really look good together as
Yeah.
well. And I'll be
So
interested
you
to
are gonna
see.
unbox them?
Oh yeah, I've
Okay.
opened all the other ones so far as well,
Okay.
and I'm really interested to see, like, there's two more seasons of the show already planned. I think they're
Really?
working. Oh yeah, I think they're working on the third one already. Um, so I'm interested to see how long this line continues, because there's plenty of more figures to go, even
Right.
on like the main team. Um, but be fun to see
Well,
where it goes.
even the subtle nods in the cartoon. I mean, the one episode I can't remember if it was episode 1 or 2, where they're all fighting and morphs into Psylocke and Colossus, and you're like, they're coming.
The Colossus was good. I'm glad you've derailed the episode already, because I want to talk about Morph. Because when he does that, it's very fun to see those characters. I'm a big Colossus fan. I especially like that moment when Morph turns
I know what you're
into
gonna say.
when Morph turns into other characters. What am I going to ask?
You're gonna ask how he has those powers, like when he turned into Psylocke
Correct.
and her blades worked.
Yes.
So that has to mean that he has the ability to morph his shape into working katana blades.
Yeah, like he turned into Colossus and they shot him a couple times, and like they just planked off of him. And like, cool power. Like if you can just turn into other mutants and have their powers, like that's a good power.
But it doesn't work for everybody, because otherwise he would have had Professor X's power when he morphed into him.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Would you like to see a couple more Marvel Legends?
Yes, please.
Okay, because when I say pre-orders started hitting, they started hitting and they kept going.
Okay.
So I also got one that was a figure that I need for my collection. It's one that I do not have. It's like in any form, at least that is acceptable, and it's one that I'm just thrilled to have, even though I had to buy multiple figures to get it. And that's why I'm very happy to have a saber tooth.
All right.
They came out with a bunch of these Wolverine 2 sets, and if you're a Wolverine fan, you're probably pretty happy about them. Um, and they're pretty good. There's got one where that's like Psylocke in her sort of psychic armor, I think. There's another one with Lilandra, which I wouldn't mind getting my hands on, but I'm not that big of a Wolverine fan. This one's not too bad though. Wolverine comes with,
Yeah.
casual drinking at a bar Wolverine, which is pretty good if you wanted to pose him next to your Juggernaut and get that iconic image of him standing on the bar. But I bought it for the saber tooth, because if it would focus and you wouldn't get the glare from my monitor, boy, is that a good looking saber tooth.
Yeah,
Because
that
he's
really is.
because
It's a
he's
classic.
big, like he's big and crazy looking, and just in like the a perfect version of his costume. He looks menacing and psychotic, and he's everything I want in a saber tooth.
Do you know Sabretooth's first appearance?
I wouldn't be able to know the issue number, but I know it's an issue of Iron Fist that you have.
Yes, I do.
And they recently like put out a figure in that look in his like original um, style, but yeah, this is the Sabretooth that I'm game for. Um, he just he got real big at one point and is just an animal. Um, and boy, do I
Was it
need
good?
him up on my shelf because that's a big glaring hole in my collection that I'm real happy to finally have. And speaking of figures that I don't have in my collection that totally needed to add one of, pre-orders were hitting,
Well, very good.
and I got an Angel. And this is another one where if you look at that alternate head, if it'll focus, there we go. There's a smiley angel. Um,
Well, that's like on your. I'm sorry again to interrupt, but
yeah,
if
yeah.
you hold this saber tooth back up, that second head is better than the first head.
You think
That
so?
crazy maniacal grin on him, that's a good head. Not the yeah that second head. Look at the first one's saber tooth, but that maniacal I'm going to eviscerate you grin. Oh, it's not even a grin; it's an all out beaming smile.
Good
I'm gonna have
head
to pick up
sculpt.
that set. That's a good set.
There, one of the figures that I don't have in my Marvel Legends that I've always wanted um, was the Archangel that they put out a few years back, and it's not incredibly difficult to find. It is getting to be more expensive than I'd like, so I wanted to make sure I did not miss this version. Um, just a real classic Angel. They did a great job on these wings. Finding a spot where he's going to fit with the amount of space he's going to take up is going to be really interesting.
He gonna be in the back row, is what you're saying.
Now, yeah, he's going to have to be like maybe middle row or something
Yeah,
because he's more wide than anything, but that's going to be sort of an issue. Um, but again, I like the smile, um, and he's going to look real cool up there. And he's another one that's just like they haven't made one in forever, so why would I have one? But it's a character that has always been real high on my list. Um, I'm real happy to have one now. Big fan of Angel.
yeah, that's good. Was never a big Angel fan, but that's a neat looking figure.
Yeah, I did a real nice job. It's real good, like sort of late '70s X-Men, sort of Champions era Angel.
Yeah,
It just looks real nice. So I mean, that's a pile of Marvel Legends already, and we're just getting started.
beautiful.
Um, and yeah, they're all real good. That's the problem with them. Like they're
Like I said, that watching that '97 cartoon, that's making me go. I may want this set, if not the entire set, just the X-Men, Cyclops included. Just but that set's going to grow again. The people we haven't seen yet that are going to make a one-off or a two-off. Even with Bishop going back in time. Spoiler. I'm sorry. Sorry if you haven't watched it. Um, but even with the characters maybe interchanging and leaving, coming and going, it's still going to be it's a good cartoon. Um, is still kid friendly as it is. It's still an adult cartoon.
mm-hmm.
The few times they've swore on there, they're not they're not afraid to do it. And I remember literally as a kid watching that cartoon, the very first episode, Beast Beast quotes a line of poetry and he mentions the word hell, and I was like, they just said hell on Saturday morning cartoons, and now they've dropped some other words. Not that they're earth shattering. They think they said crap. I think they said hell. I think they said damn. They may have said something else. Not that they're earth shattering, but it's like we're a little more, we're a little grittier. we're just it's not again not earth shattering. They're not dropping f bombs or this, that, or the other thing, but it's a little grittier with the language and the
Yeah.
themes.
It is a little more grown up, and I think they're still making it family friendly, but I think they are aware that like their prime audience is this guy.
Yeah,
Like their audience is mainly the people who watched the show 30 years ago.
right.
So it needs to be similar in tone, but also remember that like they're people who are real jazzed for this are in their 40s.
Yeah,
So um so that's my Marvel Legends. You want to do some?
yeah. I'll do. Let me do this first set.
Okay.
This is a quick and
Tag,
easy
you're
one to get
it.
out of the way because we've talked about this, you and I hemmed and hawed, and then it was on sale. And when it was on sale, much like scrap iron, remember I wasn't going to get scrap iron, and then he was on sale. And so when this was on sale, I'll wait till you're looking. I said, okay.
Oh
It's
my
the Viper
god.
3-pack.
It is the Viper 3-pack.
So yes, the Cobra Vipers have come home. And I would not have bought this as a set in box. I would have done what you did, like look for one or two and scoop them up for what you got them for, what you've told me. But the price was too good to pass up. So I clicked add to cart, and home the Vipers came.
They're
This
real
guy really
good.
should be in the middle, but I'm not switching him now.
Yeah, it's too late.
I always find it funny that they're wearing these face plated and helmets, yet they come with goggles. As did the original, the goggles always sit on top of the helmets. Why do you need goggles? I mean, I guess that's kind of like a one-way mirror faceplate. And yeah, the Viper officer, neat paint job. Reminds me, very reminiscent of the oh crap, he drives a vehicle. It's the
Think,
it's the Cobra Jeep. I can't think of his name off the top of my head.
think of the Motor
Same
Viper.
colors though, red and gray. Neat,
Yeah, it was a Motor
nice color
Viper.
variation from the original Viper. But again, the original Viper just these again
So,
look so much more. What's that?
it's such a good looking figure. It's
Yeah,
such a cool
it
design.
these when they came out with the Vipers to be your troop builders, I have nothing against the original Cobra Troopers. They're great, but these look so much more intimidating than blue suit face mask guy.
Yeah.
You're walking down the alley and you see this guy and blue suit face mask guy. You're going towards blue suit face mask guy, not this guy. He just they're both as skilled as the other, but yeah. So picked up my set of Cobra Vipers. I got to find a place to
Wow.
put that silencer. Um, and the Cobra Vipers will join my growing Cobra team of open figures. So yeah, I should have backtracked. I should have opened better and said that I could tell you about all my figures, but it's classified.
Woof. Yeah, I'll clip that and put it earlier in the episode.
Please do.
Okay.
So those are my first three. Do you want me to do another one or not?
No, you want to jump back over to me then?
Yeah, go ahead.
Mess
Because
around for a little while.
I'll do two after you.
March was real busy around here because it's when all of the toy shows that I will actually drive to uh, happened. And the first one was the Columbus Toy Show, which is probably my favorite, not just because it's so close by, but also because it's real big, real easy to manage, um, and has such a cool variety. And that's really the best part about going to toy shows, other than like finding the stuff you want, is just seeing all the weird stuff that's out there. And for
Yeah,
some reason, this year has just been like exceptionally diverse in what people are selling. Um, like, yeah, if you're looking for Star Wars and G.I. Joe, you'll find plenty of them. But there were tables there for everyone who was interested in anything. Like old video games, Pokemon cards, cool. Um, there was a dude who just had like a container full of like original Howdy Doody buttons. Um, yeah, like people selling, uh, board games from the 70s, like Hanna-Barbera storybooks from the 60s, like vintage. Um, they weren't even like die-cast metal. They're like just vintage metal trucks that looked like they could have been from like the 1930s or whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
there was stuff from just all across the spectrum. You're a big Monster High fan, they got plenty of those. And I just get such a kick out of seeing that like there's literally something for everybody um, at these toy shows. And that probably explains why they're getting so darn crowded. Um, but it's just good to see that much um, that wide a selection because I
The
think
variety, yeah.
yeah I think that variety is very healthy and is going to like keep it going. Like if you showed up and it's like everything in this row is Star Wars, like cool, but that's going to get real old real fast.
Right.
um
That's yeah. I love seeing. I'm gonna back piggyback on you.
yeah,
Like when you talked about your that He-Man mug you picked up,
yeah,
right? In seeing, I've been to some of these shows where they have these old, and I have one actually, but they're old Pepsi glasses, and I think you had to like go to like Burger King or McDonald's or whatever to buy them and get them. But they're the old Pepsi glasses, and on them is a picture of a Looney Tune character: Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck. The one I have is my all-time favorite. I have Speedy Gonzales. I love Speedy Gonzales. Um, but to see those, like, that literally takes me back to when I was a kid, and my mom still has some of those glasses, and I'm just like, I loved those. I love the character. I mean, nothing changes. I love, where is your great drinkware? Here, they all have cartoon characters on them, but go for
oh
it.
yeah, there's people with just rows of like vintage lunch boxes. Like
Yeah.
if you were craving that RoboCop lunchbox you had back in like 1989 or whatever, like you can probably find one of those. Um, like there's people selling Disney pins and My Little Ponies and plushies and just everything. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
great. And uh, since anybody can find stuff that they're looking for there, that includes me. And I found some cool stuff at the Columbus Toy Show. Not a ton of stuff, but some cool stuff because I didn't go nuts. I went there with a pretty small budget and I didn't want to go too crazy. So I only have a few things, but there's some things that I very much enjoy. First off, found somebody who finally had a Senyaka at a decent price.
Wow, you are so deep diving. Go ahead.
Now, I know what you're thinking. John, don't you already have a Toy Biz Senyaka on card? Yes, of course I do. But not on this card. The one I have right there is on the generic blue card, which I could have just grabbed down before we started recording, but we do not prepare. Um,
Nope.
and I know that they made lines with them like on their specific character card, which is also on these smaller card backs. And so I've been keeping my eye out for this one for some time. Um, but because I already have one, I didn't want to spend a whole bunch. Um, so I found someone who was selling this for $8, talked them down to selling it to me for 5, and walked away a very happy boy.
Is that a Toys R Us sticker on it?
No, that's the like actual the red
Oh,
one
okay.
right there is like the actual sticker.
Okay.
There's not another one on there. Sadly, there might be one underneath this, but I haven't messed with it too much. Probably not though. Um,
Okay.
for some strange reason, Senyaka is one of the only acolytes that ever got a figure made of him. I mean, we could count, like, if you want to count Magneto and Exodus, sure. Um, but this is the only character who's in an actual acolyte uniform with the purple and red, the V on the chest, which is a tragedy and a crime. Because
If you say
as
so.
much as they love to go back to the early 90s to mine content for TV shows and action figure lines, I don't know why the acolytes aren't included, because like they're the biggest storyline from like 91 to 93.
But
So
nobody remembers them.
we remembered. Anyway, I got a Senyaka. He's going to go up in the wall next to Gideon. Oh no, he'll go up next to Trevor Fitzroy, another awesome villain that no one remembers. Continuing on with our theme of awesome things from the 90s that no one remembers, you'll never guess what else I bought from this same vendor, who was just very cool and apparently packed all their stuff up specifically with me in mind. Oh, that's right,
A
Cohan.
little higher, please. Skeleton Warriors.
Yeah, I want you to see the Skeleton Warriors. I bought more Skeleton Warriors figures, which have been featured in every episode we've ever filmed, because that's them on the back wall there. But this was like the second table that I stopped at when I got in there, and he had like the full line, which immediately made me go, "Great! I'm glad I didn't bring more money with me." So I stayed on my budget, and I only got one, Dr. Cyborn. Fantastic name. And this is a wild figure, and I don't want to dwell on it too long, but there's so much going on in this one figure. It's nuts. And I'm going to try to hold it up so you can see it without the glare. But like, he's got the bone parts. He's got the metallic bone parts. He's got the loincloth there. You can see, like, he's got like metallic gold robotic innards. Um, like, his head is made up of, like, how many pieces there between the actual bone skull part, the gray metal, cat part, the shiny, I think it's the shiny gold jawbone, like the cape. Like, that's like half a dozen different finishes in this same figure. And there's so much ridiculous detail. Like, I can't even show it to you.
Can I ask, when did those come out and who were they made by?
No, you can't. Because I'm not done talking about how much detail is on the stuff that goes
That's
inside
what I was
his
trying to get.
chest.
That's what I was trying to get to.
It's a Playmates line from like '94.
Okay. Again,
And man, it's cool. Like, you can see the chrome like piece that goes above his leg there. Like, shiny silver finish, completely different from the shiny gold finish of his jaw. Like, that's so much work and like so much detail for Dr. Cyborn.
yep.
Like, I'm like, man, they put in work on Skeleton Warriors. It's such a weird. It's completely obscure. Like, let's not kid ourselves. There's 4 people who remember Skeleton Warriors, and we're all very cool and attractive people. But they put in work, like, on the design, and the creation of these figures. And it's right up my alley. Like, the ribs aren't symmetrical which is amazing. Like the metal ones and the bone ones don't match. Like that's great. It's such a wild mashup of sci-fi and fantasy, which is exactly what I love about it. Like just the creativity, the mashup of genres, um, and just the crazy amount of detail that
Can you
goes
turn it back,
into
please?
a random figure. Like even his head alone has like four different materials making it up.
Again, I
It's
will ask
absurd.
the price tag at the top corner. That was his price tag.
Correct. That's not an original one. Um, so I was really cool. You don't see the skeletons a lot. You see the regular heroes pretty regularly. The skeletons were sort of the hot item from this set for sort of obvious reasons. Um, but I'm real happy with Doctor Cyborn, and it did make me wish that I couldn't just scoop them all up and say, "Load me full of skeletons, please." But staying on a budget. Do you have any further questions about Doctor Cyborn or Skeleton Warriors in general?
Please put them in the comments below. Let us not waste our time now.
Okay. Um, Speaking of other things that they have at these shows, this was a good fun one because I didn't go in there with like a specific list of stuff to find. I just wanted to see what was around. So I got stuff that isn't technically toys. Because as we're recording this, we are a week out from Amazon's new Fallout TV show. And I'm a big Fallout fan. And one of the things I got at the shows from a very cool vendor who was, selling prints of all sorts of nerdy themed things. And I got myself a Nuka Cola print.
Very
So
cool.
love me some Fallout, love me some Nuka Cola. He had a Vault Tech one as well that was also very good. But again, staying on budget, I had to pick. And I'm always going to pick Nuka Cola.
That reminds me of when we went to PowerCon the first time, and I picked up those two signs from the pit and the
Yeah,
supernatural sign. Very, very cool. Very cool. Like
I
love the
I
creativity.
that sign stand puts in work. Like I see that thing everywhere.
Yeah.
Like sign guy goes everywhere. Speaking of Fallout, the last thing I picked up at the Columbus Toy Show were Fallout minis.
Excellent.
Somebody just had a box of Fallout minis. This one includes a behemoth, which is very big. And apparently there are other sets of this, as they allude to on the back. But I thought these were just fantastic. Um, and I was
Are
just
they
in
for
the
a game
mood.
or just minis?
Yeah, these are just minis. These aren't like the ones specifically for like the miniature games that Modifius puts out. Um, these are just miniature toys that include mystery figures that I don't know what they are yet because I haven't opened it, but I can kind of guess just by looking at it. Got a good idea. Um, but I was just in the mood for something sort of weird and random. And when I was walking around, this caught my eye, and I went, "Yep, that's exactly what I'm looking for." Just weird miniature Fallout toys because I was in the mood for it. Been playing some Fallout 76 lately. Excited for the show because it looks real good. Um, and I love just finding weird and unexpected things at toy shows.
Yeah.
And so that was my haul from the Columbus show. Nothing
Excellent.
huge, but a lot of fun and weird stuff.
Yeah. It's kind of like we talked about what a week or so ago about spending money on what makes you happy, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can go to these grand toy stores or toy shows, and if you go, I kind of want it, but in 2 weeks, am I going to say, I wish I had that $20 that I just dropped on this? You know.
Yeah.
So I will continue the Cobra. I'm sorry, were you done?
Yes. All done. Go
Okay,
ahead.
I will continue the Cobra Culture Club as Firefly came out, and he looks good. He looks like Firefly should look like, not that first rendition they did of him. This is Firefly. It comes with a bit more accessories. This cool this little backpack. He's got this little drone here. I'm sorry. He's got this little drone here. You can put landmines on and a remote control. He can, put the landmines in place without ever being near. He comes with these special goggles. He's got all his weapons. He looks like the Cobra Saboteur we all need. Again, not the hugest of Firefly fans. He reminds me of Firefly is to G.I. Joe, I think, what Boba Fett is to Star Wars. A guy
Okay.
rarely seen, but adored by so many. I was like, Firefly's cool, but he's a good looking figure, and I do like him. He had a stupid voice on the cartoon. I never liked his voice on the cartoon. But
I was going to ask, and this might be, I'll embarrass myself. I don't have the same level of GI Joe knowledge that you do, but I would not have assumed that Firefly was a Cobra. Like, he sounds like a perfectly GI Joe name. Like, there's
right,
nothing exceptionally like menacing about Firefly.
no,
Like, he for all I know, like, he is Barbecue's best friend or whatever.
right, right. But no, he's the Cobra Saboteur. He's a good character.
Okay.
And he was used in the comics more than he was on the cartoon. And this came in a box today with another one who I will show later. And this, when you text me, what's in the box? And I said, you'll see. I should have texted back decisions, because now we're back to not this. We're back to see-through packaging.
Mm-hmm.
So now the conundrum is to open or not to open. And just because he's such a goofy character to begin with, but love the fact that they gave him a face and a helmet. Give me some big boa.
Yes.
Give me
I
some
was
big
hoping
boa.
I was hoping he was going to be in here somewhere.
The glove hands with the spattered blood on them, the weights, the the boxing gloves, but then his just beat up dorky looking face, because he's like the Cobra trainer. He's like supposed to be like Sergeant Slaughter's big enemy. He's not, right? And then you got the classic helmet, but just the beat up face is so good. He's such a goofy looking character, a goofy looking character overall. But so he's probably going to be walling it up now that we've gone back to this. This, you got to make sure they're there. This, not so much. There they are.
We
You can
learned
see
that the
them.
hard way.
What's that?
We learned that the hard way.
Yes, we did. So, of my 10 figures, 5 joined the Cobra team. My Cobra army is getting larger, particularly the unboxed Cobra army. Just looking up there to see who's joining them.
So that's all the Cobras you got.
Of the 10, 5 are Cobras.
Big man, I was hoping you got Big Boa. That's like, he's so cool and stupid looking that like he's
Yeah, look at his stupid face.
like, that's borderline a figure I would buy.
Yeah, he's so
but
good.
That's all the Cobras you got.
It's all the Cobras. You know what's coming next?
You didn't get any Techno Vipers.
I got no Techno Viper. Sorry, no.
You didn't get any Techno Vipers.
None.
Why didn't you
Good
get Techno
pick.
Viper?
Because, he'll be a later grab. Let's talk about some obscure figures, and we'll start with this one. And I had to go back and I did a little research on her, but I had to get her because, again, there's not enough female characters in GI Joe. But we'll start. We'll back up. We'll start with her. This one I didn't have to do much research on because I'm up to date in the comics. Agent Helix.
Cool.
Agent Helix. With her reverse Wolverine claws that stick on her elbows that she'll slash it with. Love her in the comics. Good looking figure. Beautifully sculpted. The hair colors themselves. Beautifully sculpted figure. So she's going to join the Joe team up there as well. Um, great figure, great character. I really hope they do more with her. This one I
It's
had
a
to
very
really go
cool
back
figure.
and I'm sorry.
It's it's a cool looking figure. Um, it's very cyberpunky, in my
Yeah,
opinion. Not a figure that, because I know next to squat about the comic book, so not a figure that I'd ever even heard of. Um,
right.
but but pretty slick looking. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, she's slick. It's a good
Yeah,
word. I like the yeah. Cyberpunk is a good word too. These slashing claws, she just and they move on her elbow, on it from her wristbands, and she can just she do some damage. But
yeah. You're not gonna
this
put that in the
one,
cartoon.
yeah, this one again, I had to go back and do some research on because slightly remembered her, and then going back, I was like, oh, but she was killed off so very early in her first appearance. Her name is Jodie Shooter Craig, and there she is. She appears in issue number 1. Again, doing some research. Something fell off her. I'll have to go back and look. These figures are discombobulated. Anyway, she appeared in issue number 1 on of the original GI Joe comics on a screen. That's it. Then she shows up later on in, and I can't remember if it was a special missions or something along those lines. She shows up in that. Maybe she's in there for 2 minutes, a couple issues. Anyway, she's not in it very long before she gets killed off, and she's a sniper. They have her dubbed as Night Force. Fine. Again, she's again beautifully sculpted character. I hope they bring her back in the new run of GI Joe. Just a great looking. I mean, you're not going to be able to pick it up. Her tattoos, just beautifully done. You won't, it doesn't matter what I do. You're not going to be able to pick them up. Just she's great figure. But I'm a sucker for a good female character, because I don't think we get enough of them, particularly in the GI Joe world. So when they make them, because I got some Cobra Valkyries coming sometime this year, I will be ordering them. When
Those are
they
very
make
good.
them, I think they need to be honored. And I don't want it to sound trite, but in such a heavily male dominated toy line, when you get new figures, um, new characters that you hadn't seen before, they didn't make Helix or Shooter in the 3 3/4, the Valkyries either. But they, like you had female Cobra guards show up in the cartoon on occasion here and there. It was never a whole lot, but I think that needs to be, that needs to be pedestaled. And so, yeah, you put out a female GI Joe figure, I'm probably going to pick her up because it needs to happen. It helps the diversity, and that sounds lame. And again, whatever you want to say, but again, she's great. She's just a good looking figure. Anyway, so my 2 female GI Joes will join the gang up top.
I'm just saying, Sinyaka was involved in like major crossovers. Um, appeared in like multiple multi-issue storylines in multiple titles. Your figure was on a screen in one issue.
Yep.
You can talk junk about Sinyaka.
Yeah, but I had to pay more for her than you did for your $8 Sinyaka. I'm
It
sorry,
was
$5
$5. Thank
Sinyaka.
you.
All right, I got 3 left.
All right, then let me butt in and talk about the Ohio Toy Show that I went to last weekend.
Yeah.
Um, and this was such a wild experience. I had to call Cohan on my way back and tell him about it, because it's my first time going down to the far side of the middle of nowhere, um, to Xenia, Ohio, for the Ohio Toy Show, which I've been told by dealers is the biggest toy show in the country, not just Ohio. Which, if true, cool, and also that's crazy, but also believable, um, because it was huge and packed like trying to go to Disney World on a holiday. Um, like it was shoulder to shoulder, like to shoulder. And I don't know how people like browsed or like dug through bins, because it was such a mass of people, um, that it was so hard to navigate, um, because there were so many people there. And I've heard rumors that like they set attendance records this year, um, which again, good for them. It's great to see like the hobby doing so well. It was not the best experience because it was a bit much.
And which is so funny because, as John said, we talked, and I went. I think I went with my buddy and his wife and his daughter. I think it was 3 years ago we went, and how John described it was not what I remember it being. And maybe in John, you mentioned this later, like around lunchtime, it kind of
Mm-hmm.
thinned out. And when I actually today, when I was talking to my buddy and telling him about your experience, he said, well, "We got there kind of late, because we were not there when it opened by any means. So maybe we showed up at the right time, and maybe that's why I didn't experience what you did."
Yeah, because it opened to everyone at 9. I got there about 10:30 ish, um, and yeah, up until 12:30, 1 o'clock, like it was like everyone trying to escape New York when like the aliens were coming. Because man, it was just packed to the rafters with people, and just like the Columbus show, amazing uh, diversity. You know how many things I saw that were like original pieces of like the Man from Uncle like merch, um, like so much Lone Ranger stuff. Um, so again, it's so big that there's stuff for everyone. Like there were people with like model trains, um, just anything you can darn well think of, which was wonderful. It was just really, really crowded and made it difficult to actually like do any shopping, for lack of a better word, because I wasn't going to stand there and like browse a table and keep 25 other people from being able to go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it was weird because I knew it was going to be a big show, so I had a bigger budget for it.
Well, it's a big show.
Oh, great! Now we're going to get a copyright strike, because that singing was almost a perfect copy, indistinguishable. It's a really big show, so I budgeted more for it, and I ended up leaving with way less stuff than I got at the Columbus show, because it was almost just too much, and so I browsed for a while, found only a couple things, but it's like you mentioned, I could have bought more stuff because there was wild stuff at this show, but they had a lot of stuff that was just super expensive. Um, and the best example I can give of something, and it's not the greatest example because I would never be in a position to buy this thing, um, but our dear friends at the toy department were there, the best toy store in the state, and
Easy.
they had up in their shelves, fight me, um, an inbox complete Dino Riders Brontosaurus. I mean, thing was huge and magnificent, and like you could buy a car for like what it would have cost you to get this dinosaur. Um, guess what the price was in the comments? I'll tell you if it was correct. But it was wild
Well,
to
we
the point
don't
where I
do
was
this
like,
live. You have to reveal the price.
no, you do it in the comments. I'm trying to get interaction, Cohan. It boosts
I'm
the
sorry.
algorithm. Um,
I hang my head in shame.
good. Uh, so it was one of those things like, yeah, I could spend like $60 on this toy, but 2 weeks from now, would I even care that I had it anymore? Like I could spend $140 on some other toy, but on the way home, I would probably just look at it and be like, I'd rather have $140 still. So I only got a couple of things. And you're never going to guess what the first one is. It's
Oh, a
Skeleton
skeleton.
Warriors. Because when I saw it on a table, I couldn't help myself. So I picked up a Shriek figure. This is the lady skeleton, obviously. And just like Dr. Cyborn, it's wild how much is going on in this figure. The amount of different materials, different finishes, um, like her skeleton head with like her golden uh, chrome eyes and crown. Also, she has hair, which I don't know if you'll be able to see,
Mm-hmm. And Ma-
like actual hair.
and Madonna boobs.
Yeah, you know, in a nice purple metallic finish there. But like, that's not plastic hair. That's like real doll hair
Mm-hmm.
that they
That
put
was
on
the
this.
'90s, man. I got a Scarlet action figure the same way.
But it's wild how much detail and like this this Shriek figure like has so much more going on in it and with it than like any GI Joe or He Man or Ninja Turtle or whatever. Um, like it's what a weird and fantastic like toy line for an IP that could not be more obscure if it tried.
Yeah.
Um, there was a guy there who was selling. It was a bag, like it was a clear plastic like zip up bag of what I'm fairly certain was loose. Um, the entire set of loose Skeleton Warriors figures, every single one for like $250, I think.
Oh, okay.
Um, which I was so amused to just see the like I was just holding it up to light and moving it around. It was so weird to just see a whole bag full of Skeleton Warriors and um, but what a cool line. I only got one other thing in that entire gigantic show, and it's something that I know I'm going to enjoy um, every time I see it. And I know that because it's a figure that I already have, and it's a figure that we've talked about on this show. But I bought it from a dealer that we've talked about on this show because it's something that Roma Collectibles had in their booth at the Columbus show, and then and I saw it then and went, "That's cool," but I didn't bring enough money to like really consider it at the Columbus show. And I saw it at the show in Xenia, and I was like, "Now is the time." And I even went up and bartered a little and got the price down, so it was an even better deal. Do you want to take one guess at what figure it might be?
I honestly have no clue. I thought like
It was
Monstar, but you already unboxed him. I was trying to rack my brain about guys you love, but already unboxed. So I no.
it was in the top 10 list.
I got nothing. I'm not gonna remember. Stinker.
Oh, it's Stinkor. It's Stinkor. Um, but what's cool about this is this one
Nothing.
um, is autographed by the voice actor behind Stinkor.
That I will give you credit. That's cool. That's cool.
Do you know who the voice actor behind Stinkor is?
It's not Frank Welker, right?
Correct. It is not.
No.
because this is the voice actor for Stinkor in Revelation, um, which was written and directed by Kevin Smith of Jay and Silent Bob fame. Stinkor is voiced by Jason Mewes
Nice.
of Jay and Silent Bob, which is why I was very happy that he threw in a snooch
Snooch, yeah, I
next
should
to
have looked
his
closer.
signature. He also just wrote Stinkor on it, which I really appreciate. In case you were wondering.
Well, that's good.
Um,
That's a fun pick. That's a fun pick.
yeah. And the dude told me, he's like, yeah, I got him to autograph this a couple years ago when he was in town for GalaxyCon. Um, and I told him that I'm, if weirdly enough, I'm the perfect person to get this because I've loved Kevin Smith movies since I was a teenager, and I might be the world's biggest Stinkor fan.
Yeah.
So I think I'm the only person out here preaching the good word of Stinkor.
Could be. But hey.
So I went up. I went up to him and went, "Can I talk to you about that autographed Stinkor?" And he was more than happy to do so. And I'm going to be more than happy, seeing this whenever I find a spot to hang it up.
Yeah, that's a display. That's a display piece. You don't open that.
No, are you out of your mind? I already have a loose
No.
one on the shelf.
I know.
But yeah, that's my Jason Mewes autographed Stinkor, which is a thing I can say I have now.
Oh, yeah, but you should have saved that for last, man.
I almost did, but something arrived today that is even sillier. So tell me about some GI Joes.
Well, let's start with another G.I. Joe Deluxe that, again, I had hemmed and hawed and thought, no, I'm not going to pick them up, but when I saw them on sale, hello, Tripwire. Yeah, Tripwire.
Nice.
Get over here, Trip. Oh, no! Tripwire. With his, he has some other bomb blasting armor you can put on, but this is more akin to his normal, his original look, which I like. He's got his mines. He's got his mine detector, and yes, he's got his little, I believe it's called the McLeod. Yeah, the McLeod mine detecting unit. And as every good mine detector needs, his mine sniffing rat, which
Naturally.
I said, oh, okay, I need to look this up. And so apparently, what's the name? The rat is called an Apsara. And apparently, this was a real thing. Now, I didn't do a deep dive, so I could be talking out my butt. But they used these rats because they could train, and they were lighter than a grenade or lighter than a landmine, so they could walk across a landmine and not blow it up, but they could sniff out the landmine. In all my years of reading G.I. Joe and collecting G.I. Joe, I never remember this at all.
You don't remember the mine
sniffing
sniffing rats?
Yeah, So I was like, sure. So I got Trip, and basically he was on sale. And I loved Tripwire growing up as a kid. He wasn't the most overused G.I. Joe in the stories, but I think a lot of it. I have an affinity for a lot of these characters, not only because of how they were used in the stories and comics and cartoon, but because of the way my friends or my sister and I played with them. And for some reason, I don't know how or why it started, Tripwire and Shipwreck became like best friends. And if you read Tripwire's original file card, he's like a giant klutz. He's like the last guy you want working with landmines, except when it comes to landmines, he's like laser focused. And he and Shipwreck became buddies, and we used to do this thing where Shipwreck would always go, "Hey Trip," and I would go, because anytime Shipwreck said his name, Tripwire fell down. It didn't matter what they were doing, and it became this long-standing gag. And again, and the best name, the best real name, the best and worst real name, file name, Tormod Skoog. Tormod Skoog. It's not a good name. Which brings me to the second figure that showed up today in the same box with Big Boa, which the conundrum of opening or not opening. You ready? Quick kick. And he's a
this was the
good-looking figure.
This was the figure that I was ready to like put money down that you got this one.
Yeah.
I was hoping you got Big Boa. I was like, I bet he got Quick Kick though.
Yeah, I did. And he comes with the Fudgy Bar. And if you know the cartoon, that Fudgy Bar, Bazooka, Fudgy! He's a good-looking Quick Kick too. Just great.
That's pretty good.
And again, he's probably not ever going to breathe. He'll be sitting up on the wall because now that we're back to this, I don't have to make sure they're in the same box.
That's what you're saying is sometime in the future you'll be buying another Quick Kick.
Yeah. That's herein lies the problem again. They're still going to get more money off me. And my last figure, I definitely unboxed because this time they got it right. Hello, lowlight.
Took
There's
forever.
His box.
Finally.
There's his figure. There's his goggles. I don't have them on yet. This gun case you can open. You can open and put on his pack, and his sniper rifle's in here. But one of my all-time favorites, right there, baby. Finally, Lowlight has come home. Yeah.
Arguably the best looking G.I. Joe figure.
I love Lowlight. I love his character. I love him. He's really, and again, this detailed case. I mean, Jesus. His gun, his silencer, his tripod or I don't know what you call it. You know, it's not a tripod. There's only two. I can't remember what you call it. His scope, and it fits all compact in this case, which it's probably never going to come out of. And you can clip it to his back if you wanted to. You could have him carry it. And the fact that you really finally, I know the goggles, the rose red goggles are iconic on Lowlight.
Yup.
For a Lowlight. You know, but the fact you can see the man's eyes for a change, and just like Lowlight, appropriately so, resting B face. He's just like, leave me alone. I just want to shoot things. I just want to shoot, particularly rats. Which, but Tripwire better not get too close to Lowlight. If you know the cartoon and you know his file card and his backstory, you know his whole affinity of wanting to shoot rats. But finally, and I will tell you this, I betrayed Joe. Joe, I'm sorry if you are watching this, but when mine comes in at Kid Force, I will still pick that one up because he was going to be unboxed regardless. But when I saw him and when I was going through ordering, I'm like, I must have him. I must have him now. And Joe's like, yours will be in at the end of March. We're at the end of March. Mine's still not in. So we'll see. Regardless, when it comes in at Kid Force, I'm going to buy it. No disrespect. Nothing there. But I wanted him. I wanted him so badly. And when I got him I actually got him from, it was either Big Bad Toy Store or Hasbro. One of the two sites. And I was like, I need him. Click. I know he's coming in March. Click. I need him. So I should have two soon. But yo, Joe.
It's the best G.I. Joe figure. As in the figure that is an actual G.I. Joe. Is it better than Techno Viper? Yeah, arguably. It's finally, it took forever to actually get one. I'm very pleased that he's there.
I've been patient. But I know it's not, oh look, and you can even look on his backpack. You can hook his gun. Oh, or maybe you can't.
He's so good. Speaking of boxes that just arrived today, I got a box today, and I got home like barely an hour before we started recording this. Um, so I haven't even opened the shipping box yet. So a live unboxing in this episode.
Do you know what they
Similar.
are?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Similar to Lowlight. This is a figure that, well, it's a toy, shall we say, that I've been keeping my eye on for a long time and really wishing I had in my collection. Hold on. It's something that popped up in a sale last week, so it was kind of a split-second decision, but it was both in stock and at just a fantastic price.
Okay.
If I had gotten this last year, it probably would have safely made its way into my top 10 figure list.
It looks like a Super 7.
Oh, it does it? That's because it is a Super 7.
I can tell by the packaging.
You know that good plastic ASMR. Oh, you're gonna like this, Cohan. It is a chair. It is the Monstar Transformation Chamber Throne.
This is the reverse of the flag episode. I was expecting something grand, and you said it's a chair.
It's a chair. It is furniture.
I understand your love for it, your need for it, how great it's going to look, but that's what
It's gonna look so stinking cool. Into this. This is arguably one of the best things that came out. Um, yeah, 2023. Just checking to make sure. It's one of the best things that came out last year, and it was all over the place because you can put a Bo-Katan on there, like put a Boba Fett chilling on there. Whoever you want to lounge in a giant throne, it looks amazing. It's super cool with either version of Monstar, because it's just such a darn big throne and detailed and cool and big, um, that I've been waiting to get one of these for the better part of a year.
I am gonna get toy snobby on you. This this is like The Price is Right. This was like a new car, and then you're just like, wah, wah, wah. I have no qualms of you wanting this Monstar throne, but the better setup would have been to seeing Monstar sitting in his throne, or I don't know. The stinkor should have ended it for you. That's a great pick. That's the pick of the litter. Is the snooch to the booch stinkor, not Monster Throne. John, storytelling, storytelling. Remember my
Yeah, this is
storytelling?
great.
I'm not saying it's not. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful piece.
Oh yeah, look at that, all the way around.
This is like if Roman
Like this
Reigns
has
wins
it
at
going on.
WrestleMania.
Mumra would look good in this. Lion-O would look good in this. Who else we got? Come here, Kristar. Hop in this throne. Everyone looks good in the Monstar Transformation Chamber throne.
Last reveal. Put it in the comments. Which one's better?
Throw Lowlight in here. He'd do great.
That's the problem. Is that anybody fits in the throne. It might be Monstar's, but anybody could use it. It's like a public toilet.
Yeah.
No, it's a fine piece. I agree. I'm not. I mean, I know I'm giving you a heck for it, but it's a fine piece. But not the reveal I was expecting. Not even close to the reveal I was expecting. I would have. You could have given me from now until next Saturday to guess what that was, and I wouldn't have.
Oh, I'm well aware. Best action figure accessory of 2023, right here. Boom.
Not this removable helmet on Tripwire.
Nope.
Speaking of
big chair,
a week or two ago, my daughter and I were shopping at the local Target, and she was headed back to school. She was on her spring break, so it was like 2 weeks ago. Just getting her stuff and headed back to school. And I was standing there, and as she's looking at books, a young lady crossed my path, and I went, "Ashley?" And she turned to look at me and said, "Mr. Cohan," and a former student of mine, who I'm friends with on Facebook, but I haven't seen in a long time. We were talking and joking and laughing and kind of catching up on things. And she mentioned that she does watch our program, our little show. She says, I said, "Really?" I said, "I'm sorry." And she's like, "No, I like to put it on while I'm cleaning. It gives me something to listen to, and I laugh at you guys." And so I'm going to shout out to Ashley. I'm going to leave her laugh. I mean, she has a new married name, but it's still, I'm going to shout out to Ashley for liking and maybe subscribing and just listening to us. So Ashley, good seeing you. Miss you, kid. But when she said, "Yeah, I graduated in 2014," I went, "Oh, you mean that was 10 years ago?"
10 years ago.
What? Oh. And then I felt the age creep in. But shout out to Ashley for listening to us. Thank you. Like, subscribe, comment. And that goes for all y'all.
Yeah, Ashley, in the comments, tell us about who would look cool in the Monstar Transformation Chamber throne. You know who would look good sitting in a Monstar Transformation Chamber throne?
Autograph Stinkor?
Stinkor.
Just put this throne down and put him on top of it. The autograph version, you'd be good.
Throne.
Yeah, but so John and I obviously did a lot of toy hunting, and I don't mean, again, I don't disparage what anybody collects at all. You collect what you collect. You collect what makes you happy. The end. And you're right. My low light may not make you happy. It might be garbage too. And I'm not making. In John's throne, it's not garbage. It's just not by any means. It's just not the WrestleMania champion at the end. It's not the main event.
Best toy accessory of 2023.
This is like the mid card. That should have been like mid card. But regardless, we're gonna have more toys coming up. Obviously, John's got lots of pre-orders. I have some more things coming as well. And we're just rolling with our happy little show. Sorry, there's a mark on my computer. We're just rolling with our happy little show, and hope you guys are enjoying it as much as we are. We bicker and argue before and after. We laugh and giggle, and I swear a whole lot more after the show is over. But we hope you're just enjoying what we do, because I think John and I had a really good conversation, which I passed on today too. And I know I mentioned it earlier, so I apologize. I know I'm repeating myself, but if you're a collector, as John said, going to all those toy shows, you collect what makes you happy. Are you going to look at this a week, a month, a year from now and go, "This makes me happy. I'm happy I spent X amount of dollars on it"? That's when you scoop it up. If you're not, then you don't do it. If it's something you can't afford, then you don't do it. But just do what makes you happy. I mean, again, John, I'm not kidding. Every time we do this, and I look really over your shoulders, I look at all those X-Men. They're on my right, and then I look at the vehicles and the place that's over there. That's the I get excited for you for getting that stuff. That makes me happy that you got that stuff. And those Wildcats, right? How really cheap are those Wildcats to pick up? They're not, right? They're
Super
relatively
cheap.
inexpensive compared to other toys. But who cares? They're not for everybody. Back here, I mean, if you look at this wall behind me, this is Power Man, Iron Fist, and She Hulk action figures, and a Psylocke and a Longshot thrown in there. I don't care. I'm an Iron Fist junkie. Anybody else like him? Very few, but I don't care. Which, by the way, another shout out to another YouTube channel, Marvelous Videos. Go watch their Iron Fist video and show you what power this guy really has and what he could really do if he wasn't a good guy and unleashed it on the Marvel Universe. Because he's pretty powerful.
I don't know why you think it is inappropriate for us to end this show in a complete train wreck.
Because what you call a complete train wreck, I call comedy.
I I think it is the most natural thing we could do.
Yeah, but see, that's where you're wrong.
Is to end with chair, and then say good night, everybody.
Well, I guess that's how we're going to do it.
That's comedy gold. Because what is the show other than our own transformation chamber?
Or us just wanting to go sit on a throne.
Would you call that comedy? No, I think that's good for one episode.
I think so too.
It's been a while. I say we call it a day.
Okay.
As always, this was I Bought Toys Today. It's just this. Our apologies.
Our apologies.
I've been John.
And I'm Cohan. This is Low Light. We bought toys today. And who knows what we're going to do tomorrow.
Good night.
Good night. Oh! Like, subscribe, and comment. Good night.
Nailed it.